count, making certain that you've got all the little critters in the nooks and crannies and all the little crevices. But definitely well over 2,000, you know.
Yes, last I heard there was about 10 hours worth of video that was taken at the Octocone, where we tried our best to not go over the same part twice, so that, as you said, Jan, we wouldn't be double counting too much. And the, as it's called, the Octocone is a conical feature on the seafloor, and as soon as we started, as we moved up, at the base of it, we don't see the octopus. But as we move up, when we first encountered them, then we picked a direction, and we started to go and circle the cone and ascend it at the same time. So kind of wrapping around the top. At the time, people were talking about like putting frosting on a cupcake or whipped cream on a hot fudge sundae. And when I'm bringing in the food, and
I knew it was inevitable.
For you.
I knew it was coming.
And that's how we kind of went around to get what we're calling a minimum population estimate of the octopus. We know we're not going to see them all that way, but it does give us, we get a sense of at least how many are living there at this time, knowing that that's an undercount of the true number. And so Chad, last I heard, he had looked at 7 out of the 10 hours worth of video. And like you said, Janet, was well over 2,000 animals, most of which are brooding females, but we did identify male octopus as well in those surveys. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's
before
pretty
last
exciting.
year we didn't even know they were there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Yeah, Kirsten and I, we count a lot of birds. I used to count red blood cells. And so when the little dot, what I consider the dots of the heads of the octopus kind of going by, I'm like, yeah, got to be at least 2,000 there. And Kirsten and I were constantly counting with like a clicker counter, birds on rocks, birds in a feeding flock that are moving around. And so we count things. That's what I do for a living. I count things. And just looking at all the octopus on the octopus, and neither one of us saw all 10 hours of that video, but it was pretty interesting. Yeah, we were like more than 2,000, maybe 3,000.
Yeah,
we were quite certain, but that was our big time guess.
Yeah, the video that's left is once they kind of got up near the top of the cone, and they did some mowing the lawn transects across the top, and that's where he is now. So he's done most of the counts of the sides of the cone, and now he's got the top left. But one thing that, and like you, I didn't stay up all night. I did take some rest and missed out on some of the video. But it just seemed like they were consistently encountering octopus the entire time. They don't blanket the feature like where they're just uniformly kind of spread along, but they're in clumps and in fissures, so they run in lines and in clumps where the rock appears to be cracked and the warm water is flowing out. And one thing we noticed that's different at the Octocone, that at the original octopus garden, is some of those cracks are larger and deeper. And so we do get, sometimes we can see an arm or part of the mantle of an octopus down deep inside the cracks. And we definitely are certain there's going to be animals that the angle of the video we took just didn't pick up all the animals that were there.
Yeah.
So we didn't have time to dig around in those cracks with the video to try and count every animal.
And this area, I didn't get a chance to go through this morning of all the annotations, but I don't see that they saw any kind of large cracks or fissures similar to octocone. In this particular area, no shimmering of the water. Is that correct? Am I correct on that?
Right, there were no areas where we identified any of the warm water venting, and only a few locations where we looked a little more closely, because the rocks, instead of having that lighted brown-green sediment kind of cover, it looked more cleaned and black like we see in areas where the water's venting, but no evidence that there was actually any shimmer or warmer water venting out of those areas. So they may have been cleaned for another reason by maybe a sea cucumber or other bottom feeder had come through. There were areas where there were little clumps of sea stars, and so maybe they had moved through an area and kind of cleaned the surface of the rock. I think, in my mind, at the beginning of the dive, the first feature that we went up that was off the seafloor at the top had a little more kind of cracks and crevices reminiscent of the octocone than the other one. And I was wondering whether or not we find something there. It was the furthest from the seamount. And Jan, you may have heard Chad as he was ending his watch that he suspects that these kind of features that we looked at during this dive maybe are closer to the main seamount and maybe part of kind of the actual attached foothills versus the octopus garden and octocone features, which are a little further away and separated from the seamount by these thick soft sediments. And in this ridge flank system that he's described to me, the warm water, or this water seeps into the seamount, enters through cracks in that volcanic rock that forms the seamount, sinks down, and then is warmed underwater, moves under these thick sediment caps, away from the seamount, and then finds these areas where we have these smaller volcanic rock formations with cracks and fissures, and finds its way back out and vents out through those cracks. So that's what we're seeing happening at the octopus garden and the octocone, which are on the southeastern side of Davidson Seamount. We're now on the southwestern side of Davidson Seamount at similar height features, but closer to the main seamount. And so it just may not be an area where the warm water is moving out and venting, as we saw on the other side. It's possible there's a lot of little knolls and kind of outcrops and things on the southwestern side, and so there still may be areas where that could happen. We just had to pick a set of them to look at on this dive this time, and there's many more to explore in the future. It's just difficult to explore them because they're at over 3,000 meters depth. So not a lot of opportunities to go and look around. So we'll have to keep looking for future opportunities to do that.
Do you recall our maximum depth earlier in the cruise? I think our maximum depth on this dive was 2,700, maybe a little bit deeper, 2,730, something like that.
Maximum depth on this dive was
on the previous dive.
Oh, you mean like when we went to the octocone?
Yeah.
No, it was below 3,000. I was actually looking at the Central California overview. And so on this dive, we were exploring between 3,200 meters, and I think when we lifted off, we were just a little above 3,000 meters at the top of that last conic feature. When we were at the octocone, I am looking. The octocone the base of it is at like 3,300 meters or so.
Ooh.
And then we rose up to maybe 3,150 meters at the top. As I'm looking at a map, and we did not encounter the 3,200 meter isobath at the top. So it's probably more like 3,250 meters near the top of the octocone. So we were a little shallower on these features, so I was noticing that. And where we did find the octopus garden and the octocone, so maybe some features on the southwestern side of Davidson Seamount that are further away from the seamount and slightly deeper would be targets for future exploration to keep looking for venting water. I was a little surprised that we didn't see, as far as I know, a single moose octopus. So that's the species of octopus that we found doing this upside down brooding behavior at the octocone and the octopus garden. We didn't see any of them in this area that we just explored. We did see some adult octopus, and they were of a different species, bentho octopus.
Oh, I couldn't tell the difference. So what are the distinguishing features between the two? Does one have bumps on the head and the other one doesn't? Is that right?
Well, one thing I noticed about bentho octopus is the eyes seem larger and they're more pronounced than in moose octopus. We also noticed that the coloration of the arms is slightly different. Bentho octopus seems to have some kind of peach or pinkish shading along the margins of the arms, whereas moose octopus seems to be more of a lavender and white uniform coloration around it. So they just look slightly different.
Okay. Yeah, then, I wasn't
experimenting
certain which octopus we were looking at.
Mm-mm.
What was that, Steve?
Yes, Steve?
Ooh, that's a new one. Point zoom. It's like I can take a point and blow it up. Yeah. I'm resisting the temptation to put emojis in there though.
Steve is playing with the telestrator, I think.
I'm running out of space in my toolbar.
So if you want to know what Steve's up to, if you put on the quad view or you put on channel 3, you'll see a view of the control van on Nautilus where the ship-based team for this watch is located. And you can see in the lower portion of your view Steve's head, and he was playing around with his monitor drawing circles, and then you could see that was being projected on the screens above the pilots in the front row. So it's a new toy that I think, Steve, I've seen you use it the most of anybody during operations.
I didn't catch that last. It was a little soft. Can you repeat it?
Oh, I'm saying I've seen you working with the telestrator more than anybody else on the other watches. So it seems to be your favorite toy.
Yeah, we've literally been asking for this for like 5 years now. So, something to make it easier than pointing on a screen with a stick. So I'm relishing the advance.
The stick of science had a time and a place for sure.
It had a good.
It still has a place because we don't have a telestrator up here. So if we have the stick of science.
Don't worry,
it's still here?
In about 5 more years, you will.
Should be over there.
I don't see the stick of science.
Well, we have no way to point if we don't have the stick of science.
Then what are we going to do? Dives canceled. No stick of science.
Yeah, whoever took that away wasn't thinking it through. It's still got to be over there.
Yeah.
Really?
Unless it's now also a electrical cable of science.
Yeah.
Was there anything
how do we
specific
point?
on the?
Oh, look, there they are.
Sorry, Shar said Steve's giving us a demo of
I see their
telestrator.
emoji now.
Oh, you can see it through
Yeah.
channel 3.
Oh my goodness, so many emojis. What I can't tell is which emoji face that is.
I
Shock.
think that they're happy faces with their tongue sticking out. Is that what it was?
Those were shocked faces.
They're surprised to be up on the telestrator.
Oh.
They're shocked that the stick of science is gone.
Yeah. We have no way to point at stuff up here.
No. I always found that so useful.
Yeah.
Get up, walk over, pick up the stick of science. Yeah, this is where I want to go.
It's an interesting history thing there. The early control vans, we had CRT monitors. And if you use a laser pointer on a CRT monitor, it just reflects right off into your eyeball.
Huh.
So they were banned. No laser pointers with CRT monitors. And then when we switched over to the LCDs, you couldn't use a laser pointer because if you use a laser pointer on an LCD, it just disappears. You can't see it.
Hence the very massive technological advancement of the stick of science.
Yeah.
In order to keep up with the times.
Yeah,
Sometimes you just gotta go back with the classics.
Wow, thanks for that origin story. Did the stick of science have a name other than the stick of science? Or did it have any like noble origins?
I think it's just been the stick.
Okay. What was it originally? Broom handle?
No, I think it's been like the same wooden dowel.
Okay. So you went to like the
very long wooden dowel with it eventually got a really soft tip on the end of it, so you wouldn't
jab a hole in the screen. It's still frowned upon.
Where?
3.5, 4 feet long.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the video engineers don't like us using the stick of science.
Probably not.
This is a very expensive monitor here, and I don't like it poking at it.
But if the folks at home want to have a true science shore experience, they too can grab a broom or a mop and use it to point at their monitors. Gently. Oh, it looks like we have some sightings in the midwater. Thanks to you for pointing those out.
A whale.
Cross-section of fauna, in fact.
Wow.
Don't normally see these species interacting together.
Actually, this is great. We can do some food webs.
Okay. So again, this is all
there you go.
on view on channel 3. Steve is now populating the midwater with some unusual sightings.
And describing a food web.
So it looks as though a whale eats. Is that a jelly in the middle or a squid?
Oh.
Looks like an octopus.
Yeah.
Oh. What have we got in the middle there, Steve?
All right.
Is that a
crustacean,
octopus?
octopus, fish, whale. There we go. Food web.
Crustacean, octopus, fish, whale.
Look, I'm limited by the taxonomy of the icons.
There we go.
Of emojis.
There we go. No,
but at this depth, it's probably a sperm whale.
So it looks like swat lobster, moose octopus. Is that a let's see, what might that?
It looked like a surf
giant cuskeel, giant cuskeel, and a sperm whale.
Now, what are the little happy faces at this depth?
Those are Hercules and Argus.
Yeah, those are the face you make when you have a whale sighting.
Oh.
I mean, if you could order up a whale sighting, Steve, we would love that.
Roger, call it in.
Okay, thank you. I mean,
I think I've exhausted my whale sightings for this lifetime.
Yeah, Steve, what was that like?
I had just gotten off watch, and I was actually watching whales in the distance on the surface, and I forget who it was. Somebody came out, ran onto the deck saying, "There's a whale in front of Hercules." And so everyone was freaking out in the control van. Al was there. Al knows the story. Yeah, it was a whale, kind of drifting around, playing around in the midwater.
Is that the sperm whale video that you can find on the Nautilus Live website in the video catalog? That's an amazing video. So Al, you were there in the control van when that happened?
I think Al's doing some troubleshooting right now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's on his.
Well, I've definitely showed that video to students in the past, and it's really fun to watch their faces as they watch it.
She was asking if you were on watch when they had the whale sighting.
I was. I was on watch when the sperm whale showed up. Actually, I wasn't on watch. I was troubleshooting a problem with one of the cameras on the ship. Walked into the van, and within 45 seconds, maybe less, everyone flipped out and started screaming. And I looked around the corner, and I saw the whale, and it was exciting for about 30 seconds until the SCF, the Science Communication Fellow sitting in their watch seat, said, "Al, I smell something burning."
What?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It was a power supply for one of our intercom systems, but I ended up troubleshooting that instead of enjoying the whole site. The adventure never
Wow,
stops.
that's scary. So.
Yeah, when you smell smoke on a ship, you drop everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was going to ask you to order up a whale sighting for us, but now I don't. If that's paired with electronics on fire, I'm going to pass.
Yeah, there's always a cost to wonderful things like that. Nothing comes free.
Well, it looks like Steve is calling up a few more.
It's tough because I have to go into the menu. I have to add them to my toolbar. I can't just like stick them in. So I have to see what kind of icons I have here. I was going to bring up food, but I think that would be too insensitive. There's a bunch of food.
How about potato chips?
Yeah, there's no potato chips.
On our last watch, 12 hours ago, Jan and I found out that a unusual and kind of secret potato chip stash on the vessel had run out, to everyone's dismay. So that I was referencing that. I don't remember ever seeing potato chips on the Nautilus.
Nope.
Never.
Whole new year.
Interesting.
Well, I've learned that I can get Bob to properly place the microphone on his headset if I bring chips to the ship.
Oh, incentivized.
Oh.
I've heard both for animal training and for people training that positive reinforcement is the way to go for behavioral change. But the most effective is intermittent positive reinforcement, kind of like slot machines at a casino. You don't want to give them a chip every time, just sometimes.
Yeah, keeps you repeating that same behavior. It's like, ooh, ooh. It's kind of like my dog.
Maybe this time.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe this time.
And it definitely works with children as well. So good to know.
Yes.
Now, if we could only find that positive enforcement for V-Link audio.
I don't know. I think talking about potato chips seems to work.
It's pretty good right now.
Yep.
Okay. Last night was
we are
not our best.
Go ahead. Say that again.
Oh, I was just saying, last night on our shift, it was definitely not the best, and I felt bad for anyone who was tuning in and having to put up with poor audio quality. So we were doing our best, though.
Yeah, sometimes the satellite gods just do not want to cooperate.
But yeah, this year, Jan and I, as we said earlier, are not on board the Nautilus. And most of the science team affiliated with all the sanctuaries cruises that happened, the cruise up in Olympic Coast National Marine Sanctuary, our leg, which was called Central California Sanctuary, and the leg we're currently in, which is for Channel Islands and Santa Lucia Bank and Escarpment cruise. All but one of the science team remained on shore and are helping to lead these cruises from either their offices or home offices. So we have not had a chance to be inside and appreciate the new control van that you can see on Channel 3, nor have we gotten a chance to play with the telestrator, as you can see Steve is, I think, still doing right now. He's finding some maybe additional
Is there a line
emojis
for you?
or other icons to add.
The Argus? Does it got Argus there? Oh, I don't bother with those Argus people.
So it might be interesting for people to know during ascent, what are the main tasks of the front row during ascent?
I just stay awake. Or try.
Okay, that's Al on video.
Yeah, so all the ROV pilots have to do is keep what we call the delta at 0, which is the depth of the two vehicles. So we're just stretched out with the tether, and we just come up together at the same rate.
Okay. I didn't know that. So there, I learned something. Sounds good. And my understanding is that Argus is rising by cable. The winch on board the vessel is pulling Argus up, but then Hercules is driving up at that rate, same rate as the cable's moving. Is that right?
Yeah, actually, so Herc drives up as fast as it can go, and then we just match the winch speed to what Herc's coming up at.
Okay. What was that, Jan?
I noticed that the Argus no longer is looking down at Herc. So is it because it's being pulled up by the
one
cable?
of the butt cams?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to put up the rear-facing camera so you can see what's going on there.
There's Herc Butt on Channel 3.
So this is Herc out the back end looking up at Argus.
Correct.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Actually looking back at Argus because they're at the same depth now.
Yeah.
Oh, they're at the same depth.
Yes, that delta depth that Bob talked about is the difference in depth between the two vehicles.
So ideally, we keep that at 0, so they're at the same depth, and we come up together. So, and then you can see the tether going off to the other vehicle. So we're tail to tail and sort of stretched out.
And now I
come up.
just put the Argus butt camera on, looking at Herc. You can see Herc kind of the silhouette with its light.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Oh, okay. I always thought that Herc was underneath Argus, even on ascent.
No, that would be bad because you can get wrapped around it. You can get the tether wrapped around Argus. So yeah, if we're stretched out, then it can't get wrapped around. Yeah, that's happened before.
Have you ever seen? Uh-oh, yeah. That would not be good. Have you ever seen anything kind of swimming through, kind of like the leash between Argus and Herc?
Yeah, I mean, like siphonophores and stuff, like you can see pretty good through there. No whales, though. Maybe this time.
No, that would not be good. I think a rail kind of might not be so good with the umbilicus.
Yeah. Maybe.
Well,
So
we're close to
I think it was 2017. I had a chance to be on board, and I was just for a couple days while you were exploring the, I think they were called, the cruise was the Paleo Shorelines of Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary.
Yeah.
And during that cruise, I believe it was, something happened that required that yellow tether between Argus and Hercules was replaced on board the vessel. And I thought that was, one, amazing that they could swap it out on board the ship. That was really interesting to learn. But then we were actually given the opportunity to take a piece of that if we wanted to.
Well,
so I have a piece of an old cable.
That's the Herc page, you know. Yeah. Well, I think that this gets done when you're doing the pre-dive, you know. You verify that the post dives are done. So that really should be like up there. Yeah. No. Yeah. We need an app for that. Oh man, look at all the sea life.
Oh, is this the telestrator again? We
just
may need
entered
it back on 3, Al.
Very biodiverse region.
Working on my octopus garden right now.
Oh, Steve, it's beautiful. I like the vents there at the bottom.
Yeah. Shimmering water.
Hey, wait, Al, can we get the telestrator back on Channel 3? We're missing out on Steve's beautiful ecological design.
Al just left. He wasn't having any of these emojis.
Oh, no. We're missing out.
I think more troubleshooting.
Okay.
Do any of us know how to fly the video equipment?
Nope.
Not for the yes, but not for the telestrator. That's
You don't know how to put that channel up on the...
I don't know what channel it is. Steve, do you know what channel it is?
I don't know what channel it is. Telestrator channel. All right, well, we just passed 2,000 meters.
All right. Third of the way back.
I wonder what kind of emojis we'll be using at 500 meters.
Do you have siphonophore emojis or larvation houses?
Give the telestrator a break for a few minutes.
Yeah, we're so deep, there aren't any inverts in the water column, at least not yet. Some marine snow here and there.
I think you're imagining things.
So I was mentioning during that Channel Islands cruise, the yellow tether was swapped out, and they cut it into the old one that was swapped out was cut into pieces, and some of us on board were interested.
All right, Steve, we're live for more telestrator drawings.
Could someone on the ROV team tell us a little bit about that yellow tether?
Is that USBL?
Yeah, it's USBL.
Huh.
Hi, all. I started hearing some interesting audio glitching, so I went out and came back in. Can you hear me?
I can
Oh,
hear you.
that's so much better. Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I was actually hearing kind of robotic sounds or like laser-like sounds in my audio, so I figured it was best to try and start over.
Yeah. We just saw like a little glimpse up in the. It's gone now, but it's just one of the first little invertebrates, a little gelatinous. Didn't get a good look at it.
I know you've been studying up on the midwater animals, and want you to be able to use
We're
that.
into the sun again. Can we,
I keep waiting.
maybe we don't need to do it right
Waiting
now,
for
but I
the-
don't want to come up in the sun. That's just not acceptable, you know? I have to be able to see what I'm doing.
So yeah, once we get higher up, we'll get the ship moving. Probably gonna want to go. No, they'll probably want to go into the current, right?
Yeah, well, that would be okay.
3:30.
Yeah,
And then the
that
sun
would
will be
put
coming
the
up.
sun,
Yeah.
to the right, instead of right where we're trying to work there.
Yeah.
Okay. I did the same thing, Jen. Went out, came back. Yeah, Sam has turned into a robot.
Oh, you hear it too?
Yeah. I don't think it's on our end. I think it's on the transmission end.
Okay. Would anyone on the ROV team be willing to describe the yellow tether and what's contained inside of that? I've seen a cross-section of it before, and it's pretty interesting.
I guess I can do that.
Thanks.
So the ROVs run on 2300 volt 3-phase power, 60 cycle, and the tether has 3 conductors in it. I think they're 8-gauge wire. They're about 25 amps each, and then there's a Kevlar jacket around that for strength. And then the whole thing's got a plastic cover over it. And it's 0.68 in diameter, inches. Sorry. And it's
So the Kevlar, is that it looks like nylon rope that's woven inside? Is that what that is?
That's our recovery line that goes over the top of it. So,
okay.
and the rope you see, we call it a daisy chain. So it's a chain knot that when you pull on it, all the knots all come out of it as you pull on it. So that's a way of wrapping that line around the tether in a way that you can just pull it off. And that's what we connect to the crane for the recovery to get Herc aboard.
Got it.
So
I was probably not doing a good job of explaining my question. I have a piece of a tether that was cut off, that was removed from in 2017, and inside the yellow cover, it looks like there is interwoven like nylon rope, but it's,
yeah, that's Kevlar, like in a bulletproof
Kevlar.
vest. Yeah, that's what gives it its strength. So I don't know the breaking strength, but it's pretty high. It's 20,000 pounds or something. Oh,
but you try not to apply those kinds of forces, right?
Yeah. Well, the worst thing is to get, just like a garden hose, if you get a kink in a garden hose. So I forgot to mention there's 3 fiber optic lines that go down there inside where the copper is. And so just like a garden hose where you can get a kink in it, and then if you pull it tight, it bends in half. So if you do that to the fiber optics, they will not like it. and that's all our communication to the vehicles through that fiber optic link. So if that happens, we go dark and have no control anymore. So that's why making sure you don't have wraps is a big deal,
Right. Just like wraps in a garden hose can be the beginning of one of those kinks, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but unlike a garden hose, when you straighten that out, the flow resumes. When we straighten out the fiber optic, if it's broken, it's broken. So
yeah, sometimes it'll come back. It'll survive but not like a bend in half sort of kink,
And then is that same system on the inside of the metal cable that connects Argus to the ship?
Yeah, there's even more fibers in there. That has, I think there's 6 fibers inside a steel tube that's wound amongst it still has the 3 conductors, but it has what I think they call it a bifurcation tube that the fibers are in. So the fibers are very, very small. They're like, they're not like a hair, but they're pretty small and delicate, and they're glass fibers, so it's like you could snap them.
It's kind of amazing that it's as flexible as it is when you think about, these small glass fibers running through this flexible yellow tether.
Yeah, there's so much that's really amazing from an engineering and perspective of everything that is put together to make this happen, to allow us to explore the shallow and parts of the ocean, let alone these really deeper parts. We were just down below 3,000 meters. That's over 2 miles deep in the ocean. And that we're able to see in near real time what the ROVs are seeing on the seafloor. It's really awesome. And then anyone at home who wants to follow along is seeing what we're seeing. And this year, they're seeing what things just the way Jan and I are seeing them too. So if you're sitting at home and watching the videos, that's exactly what Jan and I have been doing on our watches, helping to lead the science of these dives at Pioneer Canyon and Davidson Seamount and Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. You're getting the same view we are. We may have taken time to set up a few more screens than you did because we're managing the video, the audio, the science chat where we can communicate with each other as well as other scientists onshore who have signed up to help us to make decisions around navigation, geology, sample identification and collection. So we've been getting a lot of great assistance from a large science ashore team, but Jan and I are seeing things exactly the same way that everyone at home is. So you know what it's like to do deep sea science as you follow along.
Yeah, so every now and then, Jen and I were hearing some very loud robotic sounds, and that only seems to be over our receiving end on through this V-Link system, but I was checking out the transmission through the interspace feed, and it sounds fine. So I'm not going to worry about it too much, other than it's hard to hear Jen, and Jen it's hard to hear anybody in the van or me. So anyway, I don't think folks
Well,
at
you were
home
just
are
sounding
really,
pretty good to me, Jan. A
yeah,
few
but
robotic
I
sounds,
I
but
don't,
mostly I could hear what you were saying.
yeah. But when I can hear your robotic sounds over V-Link, it doesn't come through over interspace because I had the two transmissions open at the same time.
That's good to know. So Sam, this is your first time in the navigator chair, right? I mean, this Central California cruise was, or did you start doing that up at Olympic Coast, or?
No, you're correct. It was Central Coast or Central California Sanctuaries was the first cruise, and Channel Islands will be the second and final. And actually, most of the folks on the ship right now will be transferring out. We have 11 people leaving the ship next week, and 14 new folks coming on for the last cruise of the season, or last ROV cruise of the season, and then there's about a month of seafloor mapping after that.
I don't get off.
No. Sorry.
Are you slowly going to learn everyone's job? Is that your master plan?
She was doing ROV work the other day. She changed out the manipulator.
Yeah, Paul and I did that one. Yeah, at this point I've set pretty much all the positions except Herc for at least a few hours. It's definitely helpful to get a lot more situational awareness of what everyone else is doing during the watch. So
did you
it's been a great experience.
Are you crane qualified now?
I'm doing some more training later today. So did a little bit last year, a little bit this year. But yeah, it's been a great experience to learn another role, and the navigation role definitely pulls in all kind of situational awareness about what everyone else is doing. So it's a great way to kind of take all of that knowledge from several years of just watching operations happen and be able to hopefully help bridge all the different teams together. Definitely a lot going on.
I mean, communication
especially last night when
really is central to the navigator role too. You know, you're really the bridge between the pilots and the science and the ship.
And the bridge, yeah.
Yeah.
Bridge.
You're the bridge.
So who is it that does not like to operate the crane?
Who doesn't like to operate it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is this from another watch? Is there someone who's not a big crane fan?
Yeah.
Huh.
I think because the seat is so high.
Ship rumor. This is how ship rumors start.
Oh.
Now we're all going to be wondering.
Jan, are you talking about the white crane that is used to recover Hercules?
Yeah, I thought I had heard that one person was not really keen on climbing up into the seat to control the crane to bring Herc back on board.
Well, that chair does get wet.
Yeah, it's very wet all the time.
I've seen Bob not wanting to get into it.
Yeah, you climb up there and the thing's soaking wet. Like, I'm not sitting in that.
At least it's not greasy anymore, full of oil.
Yeah, it used to be very greasy. Yeah. was wet and
Ah, so
greasy.
maybe
There are
not
things,
that.
there are things like plastic pants that you can, rubber pants that you can put on over your
Yeah.
over your clothes.
I can say, having just been up there yesterday after about a year, it's definitely a disorienting feeling because you're above the deck, and as you're kind of swinging left and right, you're and the ship is rolling, you kind of get the feeling that you're going towards the water at some point. So it's you kind
Yeah,
of have to like reset your brain so that you're not tricked by the roll of the ship.
and it's got some looseness to it. It's sort of like a cheap carnival ride sometimes.
Hey, we need that crane to keep working. Watch what you say
Yeah, well,
about it.
that's what's scary.
Yeah.
We have a new crane in the works, but it's a couple years away. You got to order it a year ahead of time. They're not off the shelf.
One must be kind to the machines, otherwise they will not be kind to us.
That's not a marine crane. That's like something you'd see on the back of a work truck. So we did fix the seat belt. The old seat belt was kind of useless. It rusted away. And I kind of like the security of the seat belt when I'm up there.
So are you saying there is no longer a seatbelt, or there is a new
No, there's a
seatbelt?
new seat belt. Yeah. The old one,
That's
yeah. The old one wasn't so good.
Based on Sam's description of feeling at times like you're going to get thrown into the water, seatbelt sounds like a good call.
Unless you're belted in when the crane goes over the side.
Which will not happen, knock on wood. Be kind to the machines and they will be kind to you.
Oh my
No, I
goodness.
did not say that.
Sometimes goes through your head when you're sitting up there.
I think Davidson's getting a bad rap, but whenever we go out on a NOAA ship cruise for actually it's not even the large ships. It's also the research vessel Fulmar, which is the Sanctuary's vessel. It's about 67 foot long, nice size, but the NOAA Corps folks that work on the ships as well as the Fulmar, they're like, oh, it's access. Oh no, it's access. That's the name of our project, Applied California Current Ecosystem Studies. So acronym's access. They're like, well, it's access, so something's going to break. Well, it's access, so the weather's going to be terrible. Well, it's access, so the fog's going to be so thick you can't see 50 meters in front of the ship. And yeah. So it's just the time of year that we operate, and we got to operate in upwelling season in order to kind of assess all the productivity for that particular project. So it's the seas are always churning during access. Sometimes you even get fog, really thick, dense fog, and the seas are churning. That's very disorienting. So being up in that seat on the crane, oh, that would be really, really scary. Do you know, is fog ever a factor in limiting the recovery or the deployment of the ROVs? Or is it just sea state, wind, swell height? That might be the limiting factor.
Breaking up a bit, I think you asked if fog ever played a factor in the launch or recovery of ROVs.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, we're not very far away. We're only 30 meters out, so it's usually not, as big a deal. Like Alvin, it comes up on its own, and it's a kilometer away from the ship when it surfaces, so that's a big deal for them. One thing we have right now going on is that we're looking directly into the sun, and that's kind of bad. We can't see what's going on back there because we're looking at the reflection of the sun off the water.
And so you can see that from a different view than we are looking at right now. Right now on the quad view, we can see the camera, the front-facing camera on Hercules, the down-facing camera on Argus. I think the rear-facing camera on maybe Hercules? I can't tell. And then you can always see a map of our position in the lower right-hand view of the quad. But sometimes in that channel 3, we can see the view of the sea surface from the Nautilus vessel, and I think that may be what you're looking at, Bob. Is that right?
Yeah. Hey, Al, can you put up the rear camera, deck camera, up on 3, just for a minute?
I'm sorry, Bob. I just got off SPL for a conversation.
So can you put up the deck camera on channel 3? I can
mid?
see.
Channel 3.
Yeah,
channel
mid.
2. Top right.
I don't know. Just put it up somewhere so that they can see the sun back there.
Channel 3 is good.
Oh, which mid camera? Okay.
Mid camera.
Yeah, we were just mentioning. So Bob's saying that right now the position of the ship relative to the sun is not ideal for
no,
when we surface. And so I just thought it'd be interesting for folks to be able to see what he's talking about.
It's up now. Yeah, it does not look good.
Yeah, so I'm gonna try and
we'll change the heading.
Influence that.
We'll change the heading.
Yeah, we kind of need
Bob,
to be able to see out
Yeah.
for launches and recoveries.
So
Yes.
I think what you're saying, Bob, is you would use this view as part of your navigation once Herc surfaces to bring it alongside the Nautilus vessel so it can be recovered by the white crane.
Yeah, we have 2 camera views looking aft, and so the pilots use that when they're on the surface to bring the vehicles around to the side to be picked up by the crane.
I'm assuming part of what you're looking at is your distance between Hercules and the side of the Nautilus vessel to make sure there's no opportunity for contact.
Yeah,
between the two.
It's kind of a dance. You need to be, what we call it, coming up between the goalposts. So if you look at the A-frame there, the 2 sides of the A-frame, when you surface Herc, you want to be within that frame, as looking through that camera view. So basically right where the sun is.
Got it.
And then you want to keep
find it's...
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'll ask my question when you're done.
Oh, you want to keep the tether kind of a little bit slack at first, but when they're recovering Argus onto the deck, you want to drive out with Hercules because that helps. It acts like a tag line to keep Argus from swinging so much. So it assists in, getting Argus onto the deck. And then you go back to leaving some slack in the tether so that you're not yanking on it,
Got it. I have noticed that time when it's not slack, but instead it's taut. And so that's interesting to know why.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
But obviously you got to be able to see pretty good to know what's going on with that.
Right. My question I was going to ask you is it easier to do a vehicle recovery during the daytime or at night? Because at night, the lights on Hercules kind of lights up the ocean around it, and it looks really neat from my perspective. But what's your preference from a operations perspective?
Yeah, actually, what we're looking at right now is probably the worst, because you can't see the tether, and yeah, it's very difficult to see in this. And like you say, at night you have the lights, and it kind of illuminates the tether, and it is easier at night to see what you're doing.
Now, is at night easier than during the day with the sun on the bow? So a normal day operation? Or about the same?
Yeah, I mean, it's just having the sun back there definitely is a huge factor. So we don't like it.